Hi, good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to present the courses of the communication and the presentation. And the topic I choose is for my major is Chinese teaching. And let's get started. In the first slide, this is a topic I'm major in, and why I choose Chinese teaching as my major for the graduate student. This is because I used to have over 12 years teaching English experience, and I think the English teaching experience is very precious, and I could apply all those methodologies into Chinese teaching, and I could create or invent some more new ways to be applied in the Chinese teaching. And this is my future goal, but I don't know if I could make it very well, but hopefully I could do it. And from the second slide, we can see the concept, how we teach a topic. For example, I chose the topic in this slide like eco-friendly lifestyle, and I can extend this main idea to other different areas such as like communication. As you can see, like from the communication, we can extend this to the long life learning, like online Chinese courses or community library, or for the using beyond classroom. Students can use the Chinese to discuss an environmental issue with other Chinese professor or friends. For the communication, we divide it into three different groups. Like the first one is interpretive, and the second one is interpersonal, and the third one will be presentational. And of course, we can compare the cultural differences from, for example, Chinese to American, or we can have another connections like about the healthy issue or technology issue. It could all be standing. And for the comparison, we can also compare about the grammar structures or the habits, the living habits that different from maybe US people or Chinese people. So it's so on. And once we choose the main topic, we can extend all the relative subjects outward. And there are some technical vocabularies I want to introduce right here. The first one, target language. What's a target language? A target language means that the language we are going to learn. For example, if you are studying in a Chinese class and your target language is Chinese, and if you're in the English class, of course your target language will be English. And the second word, the methodology. For the education students, they will probably already know about this word, very familiar with this. And this means that the methods of teaching. The methods of teaching is quite easy to understand. And for the TPR, means that total physical response. Total physical response. Which means that we can use the body language, our fresh experience, our voice tone, our action to get our students to know what this vocabulary is. Since we only use the target language to teach, we are not able to speak other language to help them. For example, if you are teaching the American kids in Chinese class, the only language you can use is Chinese, no other words. So if you want to present the word "pao," maybe it's a more abstract word. So maybe you can use some action like round to let them know that word you are teaching, the action verb you are teaching is "pao." Okay, so how can we use the Chinese to teach Chinese? Okay, so the tools we usually use is that picture card, word card. Very basic materials that you have to prepare in advance. And the second one, la TPR, just like I told you, that total physical response. And the number three, substitutional language teaching methods and the substitution and drills. And the other one, for the conversation or reading, you can use the role play or edit out. Okay. This is the methods that we usually applied in the K-12 teaching. how can we use the picture card to teach? Teach students Chinese vocabularies. We usually use the picture cards. For example, you want to teach a bird, you can just show them the picture, like this one over here. You teach this is parrot, right? You just show this picture to all the students, say 鹦鹉, and hold this picture card, say 鹦鹉, and guide every student in the class to read this word out loud at least 3 times for each of the students. And then we can, after repeating every of the words, then student can conduct the game. For example, you can leave all the cards on the board and have the student to touch the right words that you just say. For example, all the cards right here, parrots, dinosaur, and watermelon, and donuts. And if you say the word like 鹦鹉, then they have to go on the board and touch the right word like 鹦鹉 and say after when they touch it. So that's kind of again that activity that I can apply in your classroom, and so it's part how we help students to get familiar with the Chinese vocabularies. And the word card that we can see right here is in order, like 猪 is for correspond to this picture, pig, right? And 牛, we all know that's it. In English is cow, correspond to the second picture below pig, right? And so on and so on. And those things that we can use like 2 sets of picture cards or 2 sets of word card, depends on what kind of activity you are going to conduct. For example, I would prefer to use 2 sets of word cards, only present words, and we put all the picture cards as if that all those picture cards show on this slides on the vocabularies we already guide the students to read, and they can recognize all those words. And then we will teach them how to write those words in the real Chinese character. And later, we will put all those picture cards on the board, use a magnet or whatever, and show on the blackboard. And let's say that we can use the 2 sets of word card for 2 teams of students. And once I say the word like 猪, and student number 1, student code from each of the team, these 2 teams, number 1 have to take the word card code shows 猪 and put it under the right picture or next to the right picture or the picture here, and say 猪. And the student who first does this is the winner. And teach with the TPR. When do we use with the total physical response? This is the topic that we want to talk about, like teach student Chinese the abstract vocabularies. For example, if you want to teach an abstract adjective like angry, how do you present angry? How do you explain angry in the way like the student will know? And you just show them the face like so that you can get the word angry like this so easily, right? So all those words like TPR, like some abstract action verbs or adjective, you can all use TPR to guide the students to know. Of course, if you have some pictures, that will be very good to accompany with all those materials for you to teach. It will be easier for a student to understand. About the grammar part is also very difficult, right? The way that I teach grammars, what I used to teach in English, I will apply the substitutional drill. I think for the very beginning learner, it is very easier for them to use. For example, 我很生气, and you can say like you can substitute like 我 into 你 or into 他 he. And 生气 you can change 生气 in other word like happy 快乐 or sad. You can substitute them, get them to reconstruct the sentence patterns and help students to realize by using your TPR as well as the substitutional drill. And teach a student with role play. We usually apply this in the conversation part or reading part. Some students will get bored easily when reading after reading a passage, right? If the students will say, "Oh, it's not relevant to me. I'm not reading the main character of any of this." So at this moment, after reading one time, I will assign some of the students to play one of the characters in this reading materials or story, and this is a very good way to let them incur their interest. And so in this moment, I will do this. And I also found very nice film that the teachers, like how the teacher conduct this Chinese teaching, use only talking language and teach the foreign kids. And let me show you this short film for a little bit while. This is the short, brief introductions of how the Chinese teacher will apply the TPR, picture cards, the word cards, the combination together to teach in use in the Tagalog language only. And I think she presents it very well. And this is the end of the presentations. Hoping you enjoy and learn a little bit from this. And thank you for your time. And goodbye.